So yeah, went to New Orleans for a week. And my goal is always to travel light, travel really light. Um, I don't take, uh, I don't schlep. I don't schlep equipment ever. Um, I don't take a tripod. I don't take a backpack. I will stuff batteries in my pockets, media cards in my pockets, and I go for it. So everything I do is handheld. And I've been really interested in cell phones and how they are progressing, and how we're seeing more and more cell phone images, even in critique, we're seeing more and more. So I travel really light and decided that my second phone was going to be my cell phone. Instead of investing in another mirrorless or something else, I was going to go with my cell phone. So this was all the equipment that I took. I took my mirrorless camera. I took a 24 to 240 millimeter zoom lens. Now, I have a 70 to 300 millimeter zoom lens, but for where I was going to be doing a lot of street photography. I chose the 24 to 240 because I got the wide angle on the one end, and then I still got distance on the other. And then I have a black rapid camera strap. I took my iPhone 12 Pro Max. Now I live in an Apple eco environment. I have an iPhone. This is not a pitch for iPhone. It's just, that's what I have. All the features I talk about are available on the Android operating system. So everything I talk about should be available on both platforms, except for this next item, which is called a Shift Cam Pro Grip for my phone. And I'm going to circle back to that. And it is for an Apple product only. And like I said, I'm going to circle back to that. I brought 2 extra batteries. I brought chargers for everything. And then I brought 2 extra media cards. Now, when I went to the Facebook page and I asked some of our members for help, because I didn't know what to do about backup. I didn't know if I should bring my computer. Should I bring, you can buy those devices where you can back up your cards to them. I didn't know what to bring, and I was worried about filling up cards. And it was recommended to me that I have 2 slots in my mirrorless, and I have it record to both cards. So I had 2 64 megabyte media cards, high performance, and then I had 2 32 cards. Never used 32s at all. The 64s on the very last day started getting really, really slow. So the end of that, I made it through the end because of my cell phone. I took a selfie stick and I never used it. My selfie stick is made of metal, and I got stopped by TSA both times because of the selfie stick. So get a plastic one or don't take one. I'm probably not going to take one anymore. I will tell you that if you are a TikTok fan, there are some great videos on TikTok about how to use your selfie stick creatively, and they're really pretty good. So that's something you might want to look into. So I want to talk about the pros and the cons of using your cell phone. So the pros are, of course, it's convenient. We all have them in our pockets. I love that it's spontaneous. I can take a picture, just not even think about it. It's right there, spontaneous. And it's really, really good in tight places. And when I say good in tight places, I want to talk about this picture of the beignets in the bag. When you go to New Orleans, the thing you always have to do is buy beignets. And they tell you you should never wear black when you go and get beignets because you're going to end up with powdered sugar all over you. And we all laugh and say, oh, that's funny. But you know what? They're not kidding. You're going to end up with powdered sugar all over you. So I shot the picture in the bag. I already had one out and I had enough of a mess going on. So it was great. Used my cell phone, shot the picture in the bag. Uh, the thing I think cell phones excel at the most is nighttime shooting. You can start shooting all night long. It modifies for the color space extremely well. This is what I ended up using my cell phone for the most. And then with iOS, for the Apple products, there is a feature called Live Photos, and I'll circle back to why that's important, or at least helpful. Now, let's talk about the bad news, the cons of the cell phone. Is distance. You've got to get on top of people. And I mean, on top of people. Your feet have to become your zoom lens. With this image here on the right, girl with the snake, I was about, I'm going to say under 6 feet from her. I was right on top of her. In fact, I turned around to speak to someone behind me and could feel that snake licking my hair. So you're in tight. So distance is a big issue with this. You got to be willing to walk in. Depth of field. Depth of field is always going to be an issue. Well, maybe not always, but for a while it is. At least it is right now. You can see the snake's head is what's mostly in focus, and the farther away you get from the snake's head, you can see how the depth of field becomes more shallow, and we start, the image starts to get soft. And with cell phone images, I think softness is going to be an issue for a while. Noise. Oh my gosh, these are so noisy, especially in your sky, especially in your big solids. There is lots and lots of noise. If you don't have Topaz denoise, you should get it. One of the things I find difficult with the cell phone is stability. I fumble it. It is thin. It's slippery. It's sometimes hard to hold it and still hit your shutter button. So stability is an issue for me. And then last but not least is battery life. When I've shot with just using my cell phone, I can get about 3-4 hours out of my battery life. Now I'm going to say that mileage does vary because it depends on how fast I'm shooting. The faster I'm shooting, and especially if you're doing burst mode, your phone's going to get hot, amazingly hot, and it's going to use up the battery a lot faster. So be conscious, battery life. And I kind of have a solution for that. So the stuff I'm coming back to, live photos. So let me, well, first of all, live photos is only available on iOS. It is a combination of a little bit of video and a still photo. So the little bit of video on live photos is at the very beginning and the very end. There's a 1.5 seconds on each end. Google or the Android system can do the same thing. It's Google Still Motion. It is a third-party app, but you can still do the same thing. Let me get out of this for a second so I can show you this little video. So this is how live photos works. And in order to see how it works, you have to start with the image before. So once I start this, it will swipe to the right and you'll see a little bit of video and then it will stop. Okay, so that's a live video. You can tell it's live because it has a little thing up there. It has this little thing here. When you click on this, what will happen is it will bring up this strip and you can either chop the video off or you can move this back and forth to different images in the video or in the stream. Sometimes it's 8, sometimes it's 10. Once you decide which one you want to make a key photo, you click on it, that little thing comes up, and then you're done. Okay, all right. Let's go back here. Okay, one thing I forgot to talk about. The advantage of live photo is someone can have their eyes closed, and if you have live photo, you can shift to a different frame and their eyes will be open. You can have an image that is out of focus. You shift to a different frame and it's in focus. So I'm a big fan. I'm a street photographer. I'm a big fan of live photo just because I would rather have their eyes open rather than their eyes closed. All right, file formats. One thing about the HEIC or the HEIF, they save images at a higher quality and in smaller sized files than JPEG. They produce 8 to 16-bit lossless files, which means when they are uncompressed, they don't lose any pixels. And an average file size is about 3 megs. Now you can change that on your phone to JPEG. I don't know why you would do that, but you can. Remember that it will produce an 8-bit lossy file, meaning that every time that file is saved as a JPEG, it loses pixels. It throws pixels out. You lose resolution. And the average file size is 6 megs. And just recently, and I believe it was with the most recent operating system upgrades, we can now use RAW in camera on camera or on your camera phone. And when you upload that RAW file, it is converted into an Adobe DNG rather than your camera's algorithm. It uses the Adobe DNG algorithm. My experience with the DNG algorithm is that it changes the color space significantly in my images, so I don't like it. But I prefer to either use the cameras or choose my own. And then that average file size is 23 megs. Now, if you're going to shoot RAW on your phone, I hope you have a lot of memory on your phone. And if you're shooting RAW on your phone, it's also going to take an incredible amount of upload time. Keep those things in mind if you decide to shoot RAW. I've been very pleased with the HEIC format, but those are some options for you to consider and understand. There's some videos going around now about these kids are talking about, oh, change it back to JPEG. The HEIC does act like a RAW file. So you do need whatever photo editing software you use, it does need to be able to handle RAW files like Lightroom or Photoshop. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, so I said I was going to circle back to this. Now, this is my solution to stability. It's called a Shift Cam Pro Grip. It's actually a really cool piece of equipment. I just kind of ran across it on Facebook. You insert your phone into the grip, and it has 2 lithium batteries in the handle. It will charge your phone while you shoot, and it connects to Bluetooth, so it has a shutter on the outside. I've found this to be a great device for stability, versatility. You can switch the phone either way. I never do because it's just easier to move my hand. But I found this was really helpful when I was in New Orleans. I loved it a lot. And then last but not least, did you know that you can automatically import your HEIC files into Lightroom Classic? I did this many years ago. This has been available for a long time. What that means is all the pictures you take on your phone can automatically be imported into Lightroom Classic. Now, do you get a lot of garbage in your Lightroom catalog? Yep. I go through almost every time I import and get rid of stuff. But now that I'm shooting on my phone more, it is more important for me to have those images. Also includes all those cute pictures of my grandkids. I can now get those into albums too. So um, I'm a big fan of it. Go and look it up online. It's different based on the phone you have, the operating system you're using. Uh, I will tell you that you have to set it up in Lightroom Mobile to work in Lightroom Classic. I don't know why they set it up that way. That's just how it works. But it's very handy, something you might be interested in. So let me show you some of my pictures. That these are all cell phone pictures, and some of the editing I did. Okay, everybody see my Lightroom catalog?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, this is St. Mark's Square, St. Anthony's, I believe it's St. Anthony's Square. I forget now. This is what I want to talk about as noise. This was just, this is not processed. This is the noise that just came through. And just standing on the street, you can almost even see the noise down in this area as well. But look at how great the color is. I did nothing to this. I didn't lighten this up. I didn't do anything to it. Let's see, you guys are in the way. Let me move that. Yeah, I've done nothing. I added a little clarity, which adds to the noise. But as far as the color space, I did nothing. Your files will come in with a color profile of just color. No, there are no frills. But I thought the colors was spectacular. Let me move over here. Here's another one. Has a little bit of clarity added. I like clarity. I like that look. So you'll see that added to a lot of my pictures. But let me go back to the grid and show you something else. This one. So this one I did, again, I just added some clarity and vibrance. And this sky, one thing about New Orleans is they have fabulous weather and fabulous sky all the time. So you will always get fabulous sky in your backgrounds. It works, goes really well. I'm looking for one that I did a lot of editing on. Here we go. So this would give you a good example of what happens when things go bad. I loved the picture. I loved the fact that she was up there on that balcony, but all I did was change this to a different color profile and didn't make any adjustments. You can see how bad the noise is. You can also see how I have no features. My depth of field is terrible, but whoops. Sorry, fit. There we go. But I was standing on the street. I was actually standing across the street and looking up, and it was very dark, very dark. Gives you an idea of what you can expect with your cell phone. These were very fun. Talk about spontaneous. All of a sudden, these guys show up in the street and the dance party started. And these were just the people there. You can see soft images. Everything's, of course, everybody's moving too. This was where I thought the cell phone did a fabulous job. There wasn't a whole lot of noise in this part. And this was just, when you have good light, it was just beautiful. And we had great clouds. Incredible noise. incredibly soft. But beautiful light, beautiful color. I tried to take this shot with my mirrorless, and it was a 2-second shutter. So it looked worse than this did. Now this one was also, we started off as a live photo, and I changed it in live photos so that it would just, I wouldn't have, they had their hands in weird positions before. So I changed it to in live photos to get this thing. Again, almost all of these, I've done a little bit of clarity. I've done a little bit of shadows. There's one in particular I want to show you. This one. Okay. This one was really bad. Great story with this. This is a haunted restaurant. And every night when the waiters leave, they come in the next day and all the work they've done, all the service, the napkins are moved, the silverware is moved, everything's messed up. So what they did was they had a ghost hunter come in and tell them that they needed to set a table for their ghost because it was the owners of this restaurant and they were upset that they weren't being included. So apparently now that they have this, restaurant is no longer messed up every day. But I'm going to reset this and show you where we started. Of course, this was actually about 10 feet away. I had put my phone through a gate to shoot this far. So that's one thing I mean about convenient. Boy, I could put my hand through the gate. I didn't have to shoot through the bars and could take this picture. One of my favorite things to do before I start messing with exposure or anything else is to set my blacks and white. You've probably seen Matt Kay do this, and this is where I got it. So I'm going to hold down my Option key on the Mac, Alt key on Windows, and then I'm going to hold down the little stopper on the blacks, and I'm just going to start moving this over until I start to see stuff appear. And you decide how much you want, if you want a lot of black or if you want some. I'm gonna start here. Ooh. And now I'm going to set my whites the same way. Continue to hold down your Option or your Alt key, hold down the stopper on your whites, and go the opposite way. Now, this can take the whites down or bring them up. And I want to bring them up a little. Too much. This gets me, I'm going to say 80% most of the time. And then I can go in and play with everything else. I think my highlights need to come down just a touch. And I'm a big fan of clarity, so I bring my clarity up to about there. Okay. Let me go back to that for a second. And you can still see lots of noise. Things are really soft. What that means is I would never blow this up really big. I doubt that I would ever go 16 by 20. I might go 8 by 10 with this. But it's the trade-off. When you're a street photographer, it's always a trade-off for, do you want the image or do you want perfection? And I kind of go for the image. Okay, I'm going to do one more, couple more. Okay, this one of my favorites. If you haven't seen it, I'm shocked. This one I did a lot of editing on, and I later took it into Photoshop and did some more just because I love the image. I took this from a horse and carriage. It was a ghost tour. It was just on my left, and I was using my cell phone, and I could not have staged this any better. I have each group. I have the sign up here that says Rube or Bone. It has, stuff happening here, stuff happening here. And then just in case I didn't have everything, here's a dog. So I was thrilled when, this image formed. And that's part of the thing about street photography is you just have to watch the image form. So I will go ahead and reset this one as well. And that is a pretty blah image right there. In fact, it's a very blah image. And I'm going to start up again with the same thing. I'm going to start with my option and set my blacks. It's incredible that there is not more black showing in there, but there's not. And I think I need to bring it down a lot. And bring those up a lot. Well, maybe not a lot. 35. I don't like my color space now. While I love how the color space comes in and gives me a start, I'm going to go ahead and go up and change my profile. Let's browse the profiles. And if you don't know, you can now go and download lots and lots of profiles and add different profiles to your Lightroom and preview them just like you do presets. Oh, I think that's the one I like. Okay. You can also dial this up or back. I'm gonna dial it up a little bit and then I'm done. So I'm gonna take Terry Miranda's advice, and I'm gonna darken up my darks and lighten up my lights. So I'm gonna start over here with our masks. I'm gonna get a brush and bring my shadows down a bit and start darkening up some of these things. My little shadows down here I like. Okay. All right, let's do a new one. And this is going to be my, yeah, my whites. I'd like to see if I can just kind of bring up my light around the top of this. And of course, then you can play with it. Okay. And after I do that, I get down into the clarity and the texture and start that. Okay. So that's some quick stuff about New Orleans. If you go, plan to take lots and lots of pictures. Any questions?
Do you have any of those that show how you put the noise in there and what it did to the pictures?
Oh, yes, I do. Okay. I'm gonna have to go to something else to show you. Um, before I before I started resetting any of these, I made sure to put them, uh, run them through denoise. In fact, I know the first one I did. Well, doesn't show. I'm looking for the one I already showed you that had really bad noise. Aha. Well, apparently that's not the one. Yeah, because the noise is bad in that. But let me run it through just while you're here. Wow. Let's do this. So here's the before, and here's going to be the after. Makes your image softer. That's the trade-off. Whoa. All right. I think I've covered everything.